This is You're Probably Right. Entertainment first, everything else is just bonus. Opinions, all ours. Sometimes backed by research, but never the final word. There are always exceptions, so take it with a grain of salt and a slight dusting of chili powder. If something in this episode resonates with you or you want to reach out directly, you can email the show at yprpodcast@gmail.com. You can also find the podcast on Facebook. Just search You're Probably Right podcast and the page should come up. And if you are listening somewhere other than Spotify, you can find the show there as well. Just search You're Probably Right and follow the podcast so new episodes show up automatically. All right, let's get into it.
Hey y'all, this is MCM and you're listening to You're Probably Right podcast. Listen, this episode, like all my others, are for entertainment purposes only, and generally I try to make my episodes evergreen, as they say, hopefully. Um, I mean, well, again, I'm just talking to you. Well, no, I was going to say something like stop myself. Why do I stop myself? It's my show, man. I love to listen to some of the stuff that, when you want to listen to an episode of a podcast, like, let's say, yeah, Joe Rogan isn't really like that. I think I'm more like that type of, well, no, I'm not because I don't talk about current topics, but, yeah, anyways. I mean, the fact that I said Joe Rogan, maybe he's done something really wrong now, and me even mentioning him is gonna like blacklist my podcast. But anyhow, it's funny the way the world works, right? Anyhow, this is episode 306. Again, for entertainment purposes only. Hopefully it makes you smile. If it makes you laugh, it makes you think, then please, 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 I'm asking for you to give me some likes or some follows, please. If you can go to Apple Music, I mean, is it Apple, like Apple Podcasts? I mean, that's where you're at. For some reason, that company charts the highest usually on when you type in my podcast name, and there are hardly any any ratings for my podcast on there. And I would appreciate it if you would just hit me up and just, what I mean? It costs you nothing. If I made you smile, if I made you laugh because you thought I was funny, or if I made you laugh because you think I'm an idiot, either way, I made you laugh. You know what I mean? So I'm just begging you, please, if you can even pause right now and go on to Google or whatever and get Apple or whatever it is, and please just rate me. Hopefully you can rate me nicely. 5. I'd love a 5. But anyways, I've done this before and it doesn't seem to work, so I don't even know why I'm saying anything. But it does nothing to help us out, each other out. You know what I mean? Like when you look at, let's say, what's the really if you look at a stuffed animal, in general, somebody had to make that, or like a tire on a lawnmower. You know what I mean? Or somebody had to put a piece of wood in a machine to come up with a slab to make a fence. Like, just there's workmanship all around us. We see it, we hear it, we feel it, we use it, we eat it, and somebody's effort went into giving that thing use in your life. And I'm just saying, if I do that at any rate, if you've listened to me for more than 5 minutes, if you've listened to more than one episode, then I'm just asking you if you could just help me, you know what I mean? As I try to help you, not that I'm trying to fix anybody, but at least I'm giving some sort of a commentary point of view or whatever, Anyhow, today's episode topic is what it actually takes for a relationship to last. And I might not leave it there, but I mean, that's something that somebody would type in, right? What it takes for a relationship to last. Yeah. Or what does it take? Yeah. Interesting how it works. Like, if I was going to type up and I was like, okay, my relationship is failing and I want to save it. And what can we do? Maybe I would type in what to do to save a relationship. You know what I mean? Who knows? But it's funny how, I generally don't even look at my titles that way, but maybe I should, you know what I mean? Anyhow, I want to take a little time to think things over. Just joking. At the top of this episode because the topic deserves it, I think. Not to dramatize it or to sell it, just to, just to get in there, slow it down, and get us thinking a little bit. Most people don't get into relationships thinking that they're going to mess it up. Most people believe that they're trying. They're investing time, emotion, energy, loyalty. From the inside, right? It usually feels sincere. Where things start to get messed up and break down isn't really the effort, but where is your effort, or where was? Yeah, where was your effort aimed? A lot of relationships struggle not because people stop caring, but because they keep giving in ways that don't quite land for the other person. And either they not listening, or they don't understand how to, or they're not able maybe to do it differently, maybe because of their selfish. I don't know, but we mess things up, and sometimes we have no clue why when we think we're really giving our all. And the gap between what feels like effort and what actually sustains a relationship tends to widen over time, right? People get resentful, and it doesn't really happen loudly. Like it's not a big bang situation. It's just a quiet cancer. Maybe not a cancer. Um, I don't, yeah. You don't know a better term, tell you the truth, on your relationship. So this episode isn't about blame either way. It's not about who fails more. It's really about, I guess, alignment. Although I don't like using clarity and alignment. I've said it so many
If this sounds
times.
familiar, follow the show so this kind of thinking stays close.
Sorry about that. Um, it's about understanding what long-term relationships tend to ask of people. Once the excitement wears off and, real life sets in and you are in it for the long haul, you've committed. I'm going to talk about men and women side by side, not because they're opposites, but because they often respond differently, or they respond to different signals. And when those signals keep getting missed, even good intentions start to feel, ineffective. So if one person is giving their all, okay, men emotionally availability, women respect in tone and language. Let's start here because this pair sets the emotional climate. For men, emotional availability isn't about suddenly becoming expressive or having the perfect words. It's about being reachable, staying in the conversation when things get uncomfortable instead of checking out or trying to fix it, or waiting it out. You know, naming feelings, even roughly, matters. Asking about their internal experience matters. Presence matters more than precision. On the woman's side, tone carries a lot of weight, especially during conflict. Respect isn't just about what's being said, it's about how it's being delivered. Sarcasm, contempt, dismissal can linger long, long, long after the issue fades. Almost gives like people like a different feeling, like you've seasoned the relationship with something and it's just seasoned and something has to like wash it off. When respect stays intact, men are more likely to stay engaged instead of pulling back. Respect is huge for men. Number two, men, initiation without being prompted, and women, emotional regulation. initiation is one of the clearest ways men signal interest over time. Starting conversations, starting affection, starting repair. When initiation only happens after tension builds, closeness can start to feel reactive rather than intentional. For women, emotional regulation keeps communication usable. Expression works best when it's paced. Escalation and repetition often overwhelm instead of clarify. Regulation doesn't mean silence. It means keep the door open instead of flooding the room. 3. Reliability over intensity. Well, yeah, men with reliability over intensity for sure. Women allowing him to contribute. Intensity shows up easily in the beginning, right? Reliability shows up way, way, way later. Well, maybe not way, way later. When life gets repetitive or stressful. Consistency builds trust without requiring constant reassurance, right? Consistency. On the other side, allowing contribution matters. Doing everything yourself can keep things moving. Yep, done that before. But it can also quietly remove his sense of usefulness. Letting him show up, even imperfectly, strengthens engagement. So, yeah, let dude do something, even if he sucks at it. You know what I mean? Women too. There's times, I was out doing something that, might be a quote unquote guy's type of job, or maybe not even so much, but for some reason, it's just something that I do. And sometimes that, I should have, when I look back on it, tried to incorporate, um, the loved one into it, and maybe make it probably would have made it more enjoyable. I wouldn't have had to do I do like to do things alone, but I think there's certain areas where I could have shared, you know, brought more engagement. 4. Men listening without defensiveness, and women direct communication. Yeah, here we go. Defensiveness shuts down conversations. Listening without immediately trying to protect yourself, protect your character, keeps information flowing. You don't have to agree. You do have to hear it. And the funny thing is, as a guy, you just don't know. You think of like a verbal boxing match between a man and woman. Guys, we're hitting you, but we're not giving you everything we got in any specific direction unless we're just trying to push you back. But women will give you tiny little fists of fury all over the place, in places that you don't expect it, or places you would call below the belt. And we fight different, especially with each other. Maybe we fight guys might fight really, really vicious with other guys, but yeah. Anyhow, I'm just thinking. Listen, you don't have to agree, but you do have to listen. You do have to hear what's going on. For women, um, direct communication reduces guesswork. Saying what you need plainly, how about that? Gives him something real to respond to. Yeah, you say something with hints and delayed reactions often create confusion instead of effort, and guys get lost. And we're like, what are you talking about? The worst is when a recall of an argument comes up, and the whole time she was talking about right, and it's very obvious to her. But for you, things haven't been laid out plainly. You have no clue. Matter of fact, you barely even remember the discussion or the argument. You deleted it and threw it in your mental trash bin because you didn't even know what the argument was about in the first place a lot of the time. All right, number 5. Men Clear commitment signals and women appreciation of effort. Commitment shows up through inclusion, of course, planning and consistency. Now, ambiguity tends to create quiet anxiety over time because the person has no clue. Clarity reduces the need for reassurance, right? Clarity and consistency, I think, are very, very important. You know, I think when you have someone who is clear and consistent, um, if the other person has anxiety in a certain place, or maybe they feel inadequate, or they're not sure about, where they rate according to, people of the same sex, according to the people of the opposite sex, especially your partner. When you're clear with them and when you are constantly doing certain things that they like, then it reassures them and a lot of that anxiety goes down. Appreciation, on the women's side keeps effort alive. Noticing attempts, yeah, not just outcomes, reinforces engagement. Recognition sustains motivation. And, if you give the person recognition, even if they're doing it in the wrong way, you know, often they will, it's important, I would say, to appreciate the effort. Like eventually you want the person to get it, but if you put pressure on them to get it, it's just going to take them longer to get it. And that's as simple as I can say. I just ease off. Just be happy that the person is putting out the effort. I mean, if you're getting angry because somebody's putting in effort and doing it wrong, and they really, really care and they're really trying, and that's just the best that they can do, then how can you knock that? Now, maybe you're not going to be satisfied to whatever end it is on whatever thing it is. Maybe you're not going to get up to 107. Maybe you only get to 94 because this person is just not good at doing something, right? There is an addition, I believe, within yourself that when you see somebody doing something for you, they picked you, they chose you. That, I believe, adds a few more notches in a different, more important way because everybody changes. Everybody ends up not as bright as they used to be, not as beautiful as they used to be, not as strong as they used to be, not even as tall as they used to be. Over time, if something is gonna change over time, it's like I believe it should feel more wonderful in different ways as time goes on. 6, men follow through on promises. Women, boundaries with other men. Trust builds in small moments. Following through on even minor commitments add up. Being on time. Doing something that you said you were going to do when you said you were going to do it. Whatever it is. When words and actions drift apart, doubt grows quietly, right? I'm going to be here at 5 and you show up at 7. I'll call you tomorrow, you call me next week, right? Clear boundaries with other men. Protect intimacy. Emotional ambiguity can create insecurity even without obvious betrayal. You're leaving yourself open. And it's a big thing for guys. A lot of women and a lot of guys too think that, oh, the person is just jealous. I think the best way to fix anything in your mind towards a loved one, if you love them and if you want something with them, if you want a relationship with them, I think the places that you judge the person, or you're starting to judge, or you formed an opinion. I think the best way, if you love the person, to see if it is in fact only them, is give more effort in that. Okay, I don't know. Or I don't know. Maybe that does. I don't know if that makes any sense. I was gonna say, well, if he sucks at washing the dishes, then you should. I mean, you could give more. You can give more effort in showing him how to wash them properly, and then he can copy. Right? Yeah, I guess it works. I just just pulled that out of the sky, guys. That's why I'm like, yeah. But it makes more sense. That you just like you suck at doing, so I need to give more effort in teaching. Right? It's kind of like school, light bulb moment, I guess, maybe for some. If your students are constantly bringing in bad marks, and it's many of them, give more effort in teaching them, especially if it's not all behavior based, and it has to do with actually being in the classroom or whatever it is. But if you notice that you have kids who are constantly in your class, constantly paying attention, and then constantly pulling in bad marks, then something is wrong with your teaching in a general sense. I mean, if you only have one student, you can't tell, but when you have, say, 30, 20, 45 students, or 60 students maybe, and you're so many of them are getting bad marks, but they look like they're paying attention, they look like they're trying, they but they're still coming off with bad marks, and there's probably something with the teaching, you know? So just like I would just say, focus your effort where a person sucks. Focus your effort on helping them in that place, in that area, and then maybe it'll make it more interesting. Maybe it's a guy, and you love to watch football, and your girlfriend, your wife, tries to watch the game with you, because there's few hours there you're sitting there just doing nothing, just paying attention to a game. If they can understand, or not, if, well, obviously that's later, but if they wanted to spend that time with you, and you're willing, but she keeps calling a touchdown a home run or something like that, you just have to teach a little bit better, and point things out so she knows what's going on a little bit more. And if she really cares or really wants to know, eventually she'll learn. Even if it's just the basics of what a field goal is, what a touchdown is, what a touchback is, or whatever it is. She'll get those things. She might not understand different plays and what Eddie or whatever, but yeah, I think it makes sense. 7. Oh, no, yeah, that's about it. But yeah, actually, let me go back to 6 a little bit. Yeah, guys don't want to have to wonder if you're out in these streets. Maybe you're a beautiful woman. I mean, even so-called not so beautiful women get approached, right? If you are, if you would consider yourself, or people have told you, or you think you can plainly look at your features and look at other people's features, and you see yourself as an above average looking person, people are gonna approach, especially if you're open to it. Guys will flirt. There's certain females that a lot of guys will say a lot of things to, and then there's certain females that a lot of guys won't say a word or try to flirt at all with. And a lot of the time, it's your availability. You linger in spaces. You have comments where you shouldn't really, like, if you're with a man, or you have a man, or you have a husband. Sometimes I think you should have an understanding of where you need to maybe not chime in on certain kind of conversations. Or I just I've been with more than one person, and um some were like beautiful, and and um and guys wouldn't approach them. And it wouldn't be one of those things like, we went to a store, and turned around, and I was going to get something, and I came back, and some guy's trying to talk to her, and like there's women who definitely show they're not available to be spoken to. Whether that's, I mean, wearing a ring is one thing if you're married, but just not making a bunch of eye contact and comments on things that guys are saying randomly, because guys say things, right, to see if they can spark a conversation. Yeah, no guy wants to come home every day and find out, oh yeah, well, 5 guys tried to approach me today. Like, yeah, you could be as pretty as you want to be. If 5 guys are approaching you every day and you're taking them on in the conversation, then something's wrong. Sorry. And I know there's people out there who love attention, but do you want it from a bunch of guys or do you want it from your guy? And I mean, if you want it from a bunch, then I guess you probably should just go do that. But just understand, the average man is not going to be comfortable with knowing that their wife is or girlfriend is totally approachable to be approached by any man, and it'll take you a while to clue in that he's hitting on you. That's annoying. Anyhow, and of course, on the other side, here we go. Number 7: boundaries with other women, and women, patience with male processing styles, because we're not that bright always with certain things. Listen, emotional clarity with other women supports safety. Private intimacy and blurred lines tend to compete with the relationship. So don't be all cozy and nice and totally familiar with females at work when you have a wife. If you have a long term girlfriend, you're trying to turn her into a wife. You need to just treat every female around you like she was a male. And there's just certain things you just wouldn't say. There's certain ways you just wouldn't behave if that was a guy. You know what I mean? You wouldn't be rushing to open his car door or like, or a door itself. You just, okay, you're behind me. Okay, let me hold it for you. You know what I mean? Like, but there's ways in which you do these things that somebody can tell that you're trying to, for lack of a better word or term, entreat them into liking you or anything like that. There's a difference. There's ways that we behave sometimes when we want to do a slight flirt. And the problem is sometimes you slightly flirt with someone that you shouldn't slightly flirt with at all because maybe they like you. And then things, kick off in a way that they shouldn't. On the women's side, though, patience matters. Many men process internally before speaking. Space can be thinking and not just abandonment. Like, guy wants to think about it for a sec. Girls too. 8, and this is a short one today, guys. Men, willingness to adapt behavior. Women, maintaining individual identity. Explaining a habit doesn't soften its impact. Mm-mm. Willingness to adjust, communicates care. So maybe there's a way you are, and there's something that you've been doing, but if it doesn't go well for your spouse or girlfriend, then maybe there's a way you can curtail certain behaviors in certain ways that might be more conducive to loving and long-lasting relationship. You know, change signals investment. Maintaining identity on the woman's side supports balance. Relationships tend to breathe better when both people stay whole. So they don't just become an addition to you, even though you want a woman to be an addition in a sense of come alongside my and be a part of my life. You don't want her to disappear and just be a part of your life. You still want her to be her. The things that you loved about her in the first place. You don't want those things to disappear because her only, intention in her life breathing body is to do exactly and be how you want her to be. Because you liked her before she was trying to be that, right? And that's what attracted you to her in the first place. So if that goes away, then you're getting rid of the attractive qualities that you were attracted to in the first place. Hope that made sense. Number 9, men, affection without sexual expectation. Women, sexual openness paired with security. Affection that isn't a setup builds safety. Touch without pressure keeps closeness intact. And I'm going to say to you that many women have said this. I've heard this many, many, many times. But that's twofold though. But let me just finish this first. For women, sexual openness matters to men. It does in ways that often are understated. Sexual access often signals desire. A guy wants to be desired to. If you didn't know, we do want to be desired. We care. Acceptance. We want to know that we've been accepted. And that's why certain things, even in, let's just say, sexual intercourse, um, show acceptance more than others. The surface level stuff, not so much. But when you take it a step beyond, um, it signals more acceptance. Like, yes, I want you here. I'm choosing you. I'm not just choosing a guy. I just don't want to just be doing this thing. But when they've chosen you, and the connection, of course. So if you don't show any desire, or or maybe you just show acceptance but you show no desire, it doesn't feel funny. It doesn't feel great. And if you have desire and no acceptance, it's like, well, what do you desire me for? And if there's a connection but there's no acceptance and no desire, then we're just friends. When intimacy feels conditional, right, or tied to reassurance, anxiety enters the dynamic, right? When it's freely given, emotionally safe, bonding deepens. And that just makes sense. You can think about it when if a guy has to, a man and woman, for instance, I'm not saying anything about my relationships, but relationships that I've heard of in the past from people I know, some people that they know. um when a guy, let's just say you're older couple, and maybe intimacy is maybe a part of your life once a week or twice a week or once every 2 weeks, let's just say, okay. And guy wants to ramp it up to once a week or something like that, and it becomes a problem for her. There's different excuses. Now, a real case and excuse are different. And I'm just gonna say, if you're just trying to, it's just he's just not that good. And I'm saying that at some level, if you're not giving of yourself in ways that you don't necessarily like, they don't tickle your fancy, if you can't do that for the person you're with, then something's wrong. I mean, this is the person you're with. This is your person, your husband, your wife. It's like, if you can't, I'm just saying, how can you say you want to be with someone and you're not willing to be uncomfortable at least once in a while for them? Or let's just not say, like, no, I'm not saying in pain necessarily. I'm just saying, like, if you can't take any, you wouldn't take any discomfort for this person, or you wouldn't take any, like, just blahness, like, it doesn't do anything to you, it doesn't do anything for you. So, except it's just effort that you're giving to someone you love, then why is that a problem? And I'm not talking about any specific thing. I'm just saying, like, you chose this person chose you. Well, why are you with them if you don't want to go the extra mile for them? Like, you just have them, I think, in your life for something, you know? Because I'm saying, if you choose someone because you want to be with them, you're going to do extra things for that person. It's just a guarantee. And the problem is, I think there's many people who settle for someone that they don't really want. And then the person that they don't really want expects a certain thing from them, and they don't have it to give because they only settled for that person for something that they offer in some sort of way. And I mean, I can't really sit there and say everybody should just stop doing that. Stop settling. If that's not the person, then that's not the person. If you can't look at your spouse, or your long term girl, or your girlfriend, or your boyfriend and say, I would be uncomfortable for this person in these ways. I would be broke for 5 months because I'm helping them through school, or I would be annoyed every night just listening to their stories so they can decompress from the horrible things that they have to go through at work. Or if you can't see yourself being those things for that person, then that's not the person you probably should be with. Or maybe they are and you just need to be more loving. It doesn't do anything. There's many times that there's things that people want us to do that really doesn't affect us one way or the other because it's just not something we care about, but maybe it could be. Once you realize that the person you love loves it, then you enter in and enjoy that thing. But you have to love them enough. 10. But again, sorry, I just want to go back. It's just when somebody freely gives something of themselves to you, whatever it is, I'm sure that you could think of that many of you could think of so many different ways that if somebody freely gives something, you don't have to ask for it. Maybe it's affection. Maybe it's just a hug. Maybe it's a kiss when you walk through the door. Maybe it's something more intimate. Maybe it's something more considerate, like you're just freely giving your time. Maybe you jump in her car and you go to the gas station and you come back and it's full and it has windshield washer or something. Like it could be any slight little thing. Maybe you packed them an extra snack or you gave them or went to stop by their favorite pizza joint or something and picked up a pizza for them or something like, you know what I mean? Just something like something that they want and it's their thing and maybe it doesn't do again nothing for you. You get nothing out of it except for seeing them happy. And because you care about seeing them happy, you want to do that thing without being asked. It's like a icing on the cake. If you can get what you want on top of something else that you want, and it has to do with that person doing that thing or giving you that thing, it binds you closer and the bond deepens. And the older I've become, like I've realized that even in relationships, and it's probably just me personally, but at the end of the day, most of us out here are looking for a best friend that we are attracted to and want to be with and bond with. And when you like that person, like you really, really like that person. And when the other stuff is there too, it's wonderful. Rather than just looking for the other stuff, like that other stuff wears off if you're not friends. Yeah. 10. Men, leadership during conflict. Women, letting go of keeping score. When you keep those, anyway. Leadership during conflict means staying present, not withdrawing or hiding, not going silent, but engaging and trying to help to keep repair possible. And of course, the other side, letting go of scorekeeping on women's side prevents resentment from stacking up, right? If you let go, you gotta let go of yesterday's argument. Today's a new day, a new argument. Timely conversations preserve goodwill. So when something needs to be dealt with, you need to talk about it. You need to talk about it when it needs. Don't serve it up later on top of something else, because that just means you're arguing with somebody you love, makes you feel bad in many cases, and then also when they drag something in that happened before, it just makes it worse, going in the wrong direction. Listen, none of this is about doing everything perfectly. That's not realistic. And it's not required. What matters more is understanding where effort tends to land and where it tends to miss. A lot of people give a lot. They just give it in places that don't always translate into safety and trust and amazingness or attraction for the other person. When effort gets directed instead of increased, relationships often feel lighter without becoming shallow. And even when, wait, yeah, And even when only one person is trying, clarity about what actually sustains connection can keep that effort from being wasted. The work isn't about becoming someone else, it's about becoming more accurate. And that usually is where things start to last longer than people expect. Anyhow, y'all, this was a short one. Was it short? How many time? How many minutes we had? Oh, 40. Not bad, I guess. Anyhow, until next time, peace out. It's MCM. Take care. Hey, come check out You Probably Right podcast. Society is getting more unpredictable every day, but at the same time, predictable in its unpredictability. Say that 4 times real fast. Come with me as I attempt to find clarity in all the fog while staying way outside the box and kicking the box way down the road with my size 12 ducks. I use the Bible, experience, education, fortune, misfortune, life's lessons, life's mistakes to sort through all the mess. I talk about news, God, God, self-help, sports, sickness, health, music, parenting, love, humbleness, hurt, pain, joy, and all the things that might make you say, I never thought of it that way. Hopefully, anyway. Also, I take a stab at answering tough and not so tough questions, and all the while understand that, listen, sometimes you end up in the hot seat and there's no thermostat. Well, that's how it is here. And because there's no topic, very few topics off the table, Torontonians will understand that Doug Ford reference there. Hopefully the podcast will be helpful and uplifting. And hey, maybe you'll find your own private Idaho here somewhere. Hope to see you soon.
Ooh, yeah. Listen. It's getting late and I'm still wide awake, staring at the ceiling, thinking about the space you take. One day you're here, next day you're gone, and I'm just trying to understand where we went wrong. You only love me in the middle of the night. Then you fade away with the morning light. I need to know, is this for real? Tell me how you truly feel. Oh, yeah. I give my all, you give me half your heart. You say the words, but we just stay so far apart. These mixed signals are tearing me down, lost in the silence when you're not around. Tell me how you feel. How you really feel. Is any of this real? Just tell me, yeah. Tell me, baby. Oh. You only love me in the middle of the night. Then you fade away with the morning light. I need to know, is this for real? Tell me how you truly feel.